kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Kids, happy Monday. There is such a thing. So, our tub is nice and square, nice and dried, everything's cured up, no gaps, happy days. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our tubes, okay? These are what go here and go here to support our booms. Now, what I do, you want to take some 80 grit sandpaper. I'm using 120, but it'll be alright. Okay? You don't have to use a drill, but that's going to give you some bite when you go ahead and epoxy them in. Then we're going to take our doublers, and we're just going to make sure there's no nubbies on the bottoms. Don't care about the other end. Okay? This is probably the most critical part of building a rigger. Okay? Because this is what makes or breaks you on the water. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this in. We'll zoom magic here. And we're going to put in a doubler here. A doubler here. Okay. Probably shouldn't be doing anything on a Monday, but that's okay. It's cold, it's blowy, it's nasty.
Nightmare.
Alright. So, and my skiff's supposed to be here today. Happiness fill the air. And these, you'll notice the skinny part. See how it's skinnier? Goes down. So we're gonna put this in here. And you want to do this test fit with your doublers in. Okay? Might have to sand that one down a little bit, because these can make a difference. I've never noticed them to make too much of one. Oh, come on. Yep, Monday. Monday. Okay. Come on, Tricky Dicky. Tricky Dicky, Richard Nixon. That's funny. Alright. Good enough. So now we're going to do... I'll go ahead and clean those up later. We're going to take a boom and go through here. And what you want to do, make sure your boat's laying flat. Like that, okay? And we're going to measure from end to end and make sure it's level, or equal, not level. Sorry, equal. So I'm going to do, okay? And if it's not, you need to shim it so it is. Now, the ride height on these things, hang on a minute, from front to back is, you don't worry about that, it's only side to side. There we go. Okay, that's good. I've never had to shim these, or vice versa, cut them down. So make sure these are nice and level with each other. Ain't no way that's right. Otherwise your ride gets goofy. I got a twist. I must be sitting on something. Yup. Okay. Looks like we're good enough to rock. Alright? So then what we're going to do is I'm going to take these down just a touch in the front, okay? And we're going to glue these in. We're going to epoxy these in. All right? Just some 10-minute. Try not to get any on the rods. I don't usually glue them in with the rods, but how I do this is I'll just backtrack these a bit and put some schmutz in there and clamp them up real quick. Good enough. Okay. Just like that. However y'all want to do it, do it. Now this one, I'm going to sand a tiny bit off the ends here because I got some glue, some epoxy on there from yesterday, and it's easier to sand these down than it is the nose piece without it breaking. So fairly simplistic. All right. So now I got to back these suckers off. All right. Pull this out. Sand these down, put them back in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to epoxy on the inside first, and then put these doublers up against it, clamp them real quick, let them cook. Nothing but a peanut. Very, very simple. Be right back.
Hello, is there anybody in there?
Now what we do, so I put glue, epoxy, sorry, in between the doubler and the wall. Then what I do is I take some more and I do the outside. So the tube is glued on the in between these. So you basically put some epoxy on the wall, and that's going to overlap over your support tube. Okay. Then I do another coat on the outside. You do not want these slipping. It's a bad day at the zoo. So, same thing with the nose. And I'm going to flip it over. Okay. Very easy. Very easy. Okay. Now then, that one's done. The next thing we're going to do is the bottom. So let me find that. Clamps on you because these are getting in my way. Now, how I do the forward bottom. Okay. This is the forward bottom. You want it to overlap here. You're just going to mate it up. Okay. That's all you're going to do. Now, I'm going to take some sandpaper. Actually, it doesn't even look like I need to. Need to cut that off. So I'm going to take a razor knife, if I can find one. Okay, get this little blob of epoxy off there. That's good. All right, come on. Now I'm going to hold this on here. You want to overlap the back. Okay, just like that. Then what I do, dab, 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 dab. Make sure she's lined up. This is a little bit different than how the manual tells you to do it. Imagine that. I think they just say tape it, but I just put a little CA tack in there first. Now we don't have to worry about the tape. I'd rather use CA glue, just a couple little tacks. When I say tacks, these are tiny. I don't know if you guys can see those or not. Very, very tiny. So if you do need to pop them off, it's very simple to do. Okay. The next trick to this is we're going to put in our nose block, which is this. To be honest, I usually use pour foam. I usually don't use the supplied block, but in this case we will. I'm going to take these off, and that should fit, close to fit, right in there. Now I'm going to take a little bit off on the sanding, not much, just a tiny bit, and we're going to stick it in there. But before we do that, we're going to take epoxy. Let's make sure. Yep, we're going to take epoxy, we're going to thin it, and we're going to glue the hell out of this, but we're also going to seal this this area. Okay, this has to be totally sealed before you put this in, otherwise you get water in there, it rots, you need rhinoplasty, bad nose job. You know the idea. So Let me sand a little bit of this off, and we'll be right back. We're going to take some 10-minute epoxy. Easy money. And I'm going to thin it, because this is just for sealing. It's not even really holding the foam in, because once you put the top deck on, that's going to hold your foam in. But you have to do this before you do the foam, before you do the top deck, or else it'll be bad. Okay? Nice and thin. Use one of my old garbage brushes. My buddy Jeff and I were talking. Jeff in my group. I got so many of those stupid epoxy brushes I'm never going to use now. I'm like, yep, me too, brother. But for something like this, I don't care if there's little bits of fur in there. It'll be fine. Never seeing this again unless something really, really bad happens. Which might with me, as we know. It's one thing that's nice about wood kits. You don't cry quite as hard if you beach them or you trash them. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's not like you just trashed a $700 fiberglass hull or whatever. Okay, very easy. I'm being pretty forgiving with this epoxy, putting a lot in there. Okay, might as well use it. Okay, whatever. We're going to slide this in here, just like that. So that's doing two things now. It's going to seal it. It's doing three things. It's going to hold the foam in for a little bit. Well, most people will sand this. I'll probably use our fancy dancy cutter that I got from Uncle Joe. But you will sand this block. So the epoxy you just did is going to seal it. It's also going to epoxy it onto the bottom, because remember I just used CA tacks, and it's going to hold that foam in. So we're going to put this aside, and then we're going to move on to the next part in our box. The next part. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top, and you can see there's a laser burn around the edge. Okay, that's the edge we want facing up. You want your two end caps. One is for the front, which is the thicker one. You can see the difference here. And the thinner one is going to go in the rear end. Then we're going to put these on as well. Very, very, very straightforward. So we're going to start with this one. So we're just going to use CA glue. We are not using epoxy because we're going to seal these in once we put the top on. Sorry. Okay. You don't have to use activator. You can just hold it. Doesn't matter. Okay. Now, what I like to do with this next part, I actually spray that first. You don't need much. Don't do this trick with thin CA. It'll freeze up so fast you won't know what the hell's going on. Oops. You just want a tiny, tiny little bit. Make sure you don't have crap in your way like I always do. Need to sand down this desktop. Okay? That's that. If you use thin CA and you spray the activator first, I'm telling you right now, it will be so instant, you won't be able to do what I just did unless you got it perfect. And I never do anything perfect. So, we're going to spray this one. Okay. Same thing. Nice shake. There we go. Alright. Wear a glove. You can use epoxy too if you really want to, but the trick is you don't want a bunch of crap in the ridge, because this is where our canopy is going to be setting. Okay, one more piece, and on this one, I'm going to do the old-fashioned way. Just like that. Okay? You don't want much, because this outer edge has to sit flush to your boat. So you don't want a bunch of goo in there, because then it'll make it lumpy and look like a pile of inner tubes. You don't want that. And that's it. And I might still take a razor blade and scrape in here, but it looks like we did a pretty good job. There's a little bit there. And then we'll just take, that trick I do with the razor blade, cut off this end with a Dremel. Now, this you probably don't need to cut it. Just do that. Gentle. Remember, you just got a little bit of CA holding this in. That one might take a little bit more work. But if you have crap in the track, your cowl will not fit well. I mean, it'll still work. It just look like shit. That's all right. All right, that's it. That is done. So then when we go to put this on top, once that we sand down our foam, we're just going to slather this thing with 30-minute epoxy thinned down, and then we're going to put it to the boat, and the tub's almost done. So we're going to do the ski next. Let me grab the bits. Be right back. All right. So can you believe we're almost done with this tub? Very fast built. I have built riggers in one day easily, even gas riggers. I mean, as far as the construction goes, very quick. Not hard at all. So we got 4 integral parts. We have the ski front, the ski back, and the 2 ski rails.
What are you doing here? Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Sand off any nubs that you've got on this cut part. Okay? So I think he redesigned this. Joe redesigned this, because I don't remember that notch being there, but I could be wrong. We're also going to take off, you don't really have to do this, but the nubs off the ski itself. Good enough. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're basically just going to CA it on there, just like that. So however you want to line it up. So what we do is we're going to CA it. Sometimes it's an easy way. Let's see if this works. Sometimes this works. Now I know the CA isn't going to hold worth a damn on laser burn. That's okay. I'm just getting the starting point. Okay? Just like that. Then what I do, of course it's what I do, it's not what anybody else would do. Alright? I just line it up like that. Hold a bit. Just do a little at a time. You don't want it doing this number on you, okay? And then we're just going to line this sucker up with epoxy and let it cook. So now you can go against a flat edge. Okay. Very easy to do. I don't remember that notch being there. Joe, if you're watching, let me know. I can't. Maybe I just... It's a drinking rigger. Maybe I just don't remember. That's very possible. Okay. A little bit on that one. Beauty. Okay. Then what we're going to do, we're going to do the other side. Exact same way. So I'm just going to spray this down. Give me a little shot. That's just to help you get started. I'm just going to hold that little dude. Perfect. Now again, if you want to use a flat edge, like a piece of steel or whatever, I just line it up so it's flush. Shoot it. You're just going to stitch it a little bit. That's all we're going to do. Then I'm going to take a separator. You'll see in a minute here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's not quite square. I used to have a piece That ain't it. I used to fit these really good, and I'd slide it in there, but it's okay. You got to remember, the only thing on a JAE, I can never say that is in the water, supposedly, if you're doing it right, it's right here, this little bit, okay? So if this is bowing in a little bit or whatever, it's not going to hurt anything, okay? Now, same thing with this. I'm going to bring it right to the front edge, though, okay? Get it pretty lined up. Okay, notice that one's not lined up. This one is. Nice and neat. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some epoxy, we're going to thin it, and we're going to seal the inside of this, which is going to do two things, just like we did with the nose job, right? It's going to permanently adhere this stuff and seal it at the same time. Bada bing. And you want that hangover. See that hangover? It's the only hangover you ever want. God cursed me. I don't get hangovers. If I did, I wouldn't drink. I'm a pussy. I wouldn't want to do that. Alright, so there we go. So now we're going to take... I've got this. Check this out. This crap. I ordered a 3-pack of epoxy. I got the 30-minute, the 10-minute, I'm sorry, 5-minute. I always call it 10. 5-minute, 30-minute. And this 15-minute crap. I've never used the 15-minute stuff. So, guess what we're doing? We're going to use the 15-minute. So, because I don't foresee myself using this a lot. It's not fast enough to be efficient, and it's too fast to be... Oh, come on. There we go. I don't know if I've ever opened epoxy on... Not real tough. So always take out these little inners, chuck them on the floor so your little kids step in them and you get goo on their shoes.
So I got that going for me.
There's a little line. I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, done. Now, our fancy dancy silicone cups. Doity. Alright, we don't need a lot for this, obviously. That's it. We're going to thin it a little bit. By the way, we're going to be unboxing the new skiff. It just came. The next video here. Doing that here in 10 minutes, probably. Whenever this gets finished. Okay. Done. Now what we're going to do... My friend over in Canada, who's doing a really good build on a SLR Thunderboat, Twisted Liquid. I always call it Twisted Logic, just by accident. And which is funny, one of the names of my boats is the Liquid Logic. So my little brain, it just gets very confusing. But anyway, he... yesterday I did a video, and shout out to you, brother. I actually don't know your name. We'll just call you Twisted. Uncle Twisted. And I was doing a video yesterday, and I said something about not doing the epoxying on screen, because I said if you've seen one moron or idiot, I think I said, if you see one idiot put on epoxy, you've seen it all, and it's boring. And he took offense to it, not in a bad way. Good guy. But he's like, I'm not an idiot. I enjoy your stuff. You know, it was just kind of a funny thing. And I'm like, dude, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me. Y'all seen me put epoxy on shit for years, and it's boring. Alright, so, wasn't against you, bro. Alright, so there we go. Sealed, dealed, ready to rock and roll. Okay? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our nose off. Where is that? Let me find the thing. I'll have Uncle Joe's foam cutter from our tunnel project. My buddy in the group, in our chat group, which you guys should join. It's fun. We have a good time. We talk about all sorts of stupid stuff. Mostly RC boats and junk like that, but we talk about life, love, and liberty and all that stuff. But he was making a joke earlier when I was on a meeting for work. He said, "You got too much stuff on your plate. You got this, you got that, you got that." The Tug, the ugly duckling with the gas engine in it, isn't going to be a build series. It's going to be like a weekly update of how I've messed it up, and maybe if I have questions, need help, I'll ask you guys. That's not a real build video. It's just going to be a fun thing. But we need to, I forgot, he reminded me, we need to maiden our Super Sport, the silver Super Sport we built. You guys remember that? Okay. We got to maiden that. We got to finish up our tunnel, which it's built. It just needs decals, clear coated, and guts. We need to finish this boat, and we're also going to start the skiff, obviously. And then maybe I got a couple of little projects too. Not to mention spring's coming, yard work, running boats, because I want to run. I just want to build all day. Hopefully this battery's still got some juice. Let's see what happens. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Hey, hey. Now, the reason I'm doing this, normally what I always did in the past, whether I used pour foam or this foam, thanks, Uncle Joe, I love this thing, so neat, is I sanded them. Just take it to orbital, knock it down. The problem with that is it makes a hell of a mess. So, now all I gotta do is, look at that, how nice. How nice. I love that little thing. It's so fun. Alright, so the next thing we've got the ski, which is not ready to be put on yet, obviously. Put this over there. We could go ahead and put on the top. So all we got to do is lather up the top, weight it, and glue everything up. Is that it? Is that all I got to do? You do not have to seal this before you put the top on. FYI. Okay? I have done these tops multiple ways, but what I usually do, like I said earlier, we do a test fit, and we're going to make sure that it fits nice and proper, okay? In which it does. Looks good. Everything's snapped down into place, and we need to do some sanding. A little bit of a thing there for some reason. Okay? And that's it. That's what she's going to look like. But all I do is take 30-minute epoxy. It doesn't take much because you basically seal here, all the way down, do this edge, tape and weight. Okay? Literally. Tape it, then weight it. Alright? Probably will thin it a touch. We could probably use this crap, this 15. This is Bob Smith Industries. It's just marketed from a different joint. I think I might use that. I think it'll be okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our sanding block and we're going to sand the edges like this. Okay. Make sure there's no gooeys. Can't stand no gooeys. All right. I'll do that off screen. We're going to mix up some of that. We're going to thin it way down, and we're going to tape the heck out of everything. Put some weights on top of it, call it good. But we're going to put the glue only on here, not on here. And then we tape it down, everything will be copacetic and happy. Okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and sand this down real quick. No need for that on some video. Be right back.
So what?
So what? So let's dance.
I just realized I screwed up. Big time. So hopefully I don't spread the disease to you. I put my transom doubler on the wrong side. I just wasn't even thinking the other day when I did that. This doubler right here is supposed to go over here. You're supposed to have this lip. That's supposed to be there, but not this lip. So I'm going to make another doubler piece and just stick it on there. We'll just have a little bit of an extra. It's not going to hurt anything. But yeah, that doubler goes on the outside. Sorry. Sometimes when I'm videoing, and this isn't an excuse, but it is a reason. A, I don't plan anything. Number two, when it comes to doing videos, like I don't prepare my stuff. I don't do shit the way you're supposed to. But when you're videoing, you are thinking of what am I saying, what am I doing. Not that it's hard, obviously. And sometimes I do that. I screw up. But that's not a bad screw up. I'll just cut a new piece, glue it on there, and my transom will just be a little bit thicker. Actually, I could just shave off the edge and not even worry about it. But We'll see. Depends on my mood. Alright. So, doubler goes on the outside. I missed that. So, we're going to take some of this stuff. Okay. Yes, I did put on an exam glove. Oops, see that? Just because I hate getting the shit on my hands. Alright. Go ahead and fast forward through this. Okay. Take this off. I got a lot all over my bench, which is okay. Just need to sand it down anyway. So, what you're going to do now, make sure your notches are flush. Grab your paint and tape. Where'd it go? Paint and tape is just to hold it in place, because I'm going to move this to the other bench after we're done. Okay. I want to hold it on those tabs. Then I got to clean off this bench for it's forever. Okay. Take your time with this part because you don't want to screw it up. So what I'm doing first is I'm taping over these notches, because that's what's going to lock in our piece, keep it from moving. Just like that. Okay. Now, after that's done, if you want to, we're going to tape. Nothing fancy. I'm going to put weights on it too, because I do not want this twisting. Okay. Looks good. Can't believe I screwed up that doubler. Well, I mean, I can. That's hilarious. Dumbass. Alright. So now this, we can honestly just clamp. Which would probably be advantageous to do. Let's see. And we're going to take another two, put them on the nose like that, because that foam is going to help too. And that's it. I know those are blopping around, it's okay. Then I'm going to set this on the edge of the table, put some weights on it, be good in an hour. So that is really it. I'm going to clean up this mess and we're going to unbox the skiff. So keep dry side up, kids. We're going to finish this guy up. Maybe later we'll do the sponsons. Might still do it today. Keep dry side up. Dry side up. Whatever side up. Bye.